it's a new flashpoint between the centre and the Delhi government, this time over Rohingya migrants. The clash comes just hours after Union Minister Hardeep Singh Puri's tweets announcing homes and security for the Rohingyas from Myanmar were contradicted by his own government. Now it's led to a new flashpoint between the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi and the centre. The Delhi government is accusing the centre of secretly trying to settle the Rohingyas in the national capital, that is, give them permanent residence. The Union Home Ministry is accusing the Aam Aadmi Party of actually dragging its feet on declaring the locality where the Rohingya migrants live a detention centre. The ministry has also stressed that as per the law, all illegal foreigners are supposed to be kept in detention centres. But in this case, it is the Delhi government that is at fault because it has failed to declare this place a detention centre. Let's listen in to some of the rhetoric we've been hearing on this issue, the huge political slugfest that's now broken out between the Aam Aadmi Party and the Delhi government and the centre.
रोहिंग्या मुसलमानों को, बांग्लादेशी रोहिंग्याओं को दिल्ली में बसाने की केंद्र सरकार की एक साजिश कल सामने आई। दिल्ली सरकार बार बार अपना रुख साफ कर चुकी है कि किसी भी तरह के अवैध प्रवास को, रोहिंग्याओं के किसी भी तरह के प्रवास को दिल्ली सरकार दिल्ली की सुरक्षा के लिए, देश की सुरक्षा के लिए खतरा मानती है। वैसे में उनको फ्लैग देने की किसी योजना का तो सवाल ही नहीं उठता।
दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री अरविंद केजरीवाल जी मुख्यमंत्री कम, झूठ मंत्री ज्यादा है कि जो रोहिंग्यास यहाँ पर रहते हैं, इलीगल माइग्रेंट हैं, घुसपैठिए हैं, इन घुसपैठियों को उनके ही पार्टी के विधायक मुख्यमंत्री जी की शह पर पानी भी देते हैं, बिजली भी देते हैं, राशन भी देते हैं, मुफ्त में देते हैं, और अब उनको फ्लैट भी मुफ्त में देने चली थी दिल्ली की केजरीवाल सरकार।
Let's take this right across to guests joining us now. PKD Nambiar supporting the BJP on this show. We're also being joined by Akshay Marathe of the Aam Aadmi Party and Arshpreet Khadial of the Congress. Now, Akshay Marathe, let me begin by asking you, Manish Sisodia sort of making it very clear, couching it in those terms, Bangladeshi Muslim immigrants is how he described the Rohingyas. These have been people who have been actually named refugees by the United Nations. The UNHCR has even given cards to them. It's another matter that they're not, India is not party to this, or India hasn't recognized them as refugees. But why has this become the latest flashpoint between the centre and the Delhi government? And, is this not competitive petty politics?
Ankita, first of all, let's look at the chronology of what has happened. In the last year or 2 years, whenever there has been trouble in Delhi, whenever we have seen any kinds of communal violence brewing in Delhi, we have seen the Bharatiya Janata Party on record saying that it is the Rohingyas that are responsible for fomenting that violence. Each and every time that this has happened, the Aam Aadmi Party has said, if the BJP believes that it's the Rohingyas who are responsible for this violence, why is it that the BJP refuses to deport these illegal immigrants, as they want to call them? But without answering that question, the BJP chooses to blame Aam Aadmi Party for this.
But is the Aam Aadmi Party also now not calling them in precisely those terms? How does the AAP see the Rohingyas? First of all, let's get that clear.
Ankita, let me just finish what I was saying. Now, in that same chronology, just 2 days ago, the Union Minister, Mr. Hardeep Puri, tweeted saying that he wants to give EWS flats. EWS flats are actually built by the central government, the DDA, for people of India, for people of Delhi who don't have homes. But the central government wants to give these flats to Rohingya immigrants. And the Aam Aadmi Party is simply saying that if the BJP has been waxing eloquent for several years that it is the Rohingyas who are responsible for the violence in Delhi and India, why is it that the BJP government in the centre, after 8 long years, instead of deporting them, which is its stated policy in the Supreme Court, why is it that they want to give homes that belong to people of India, that should be going to the poor and underprivileged and homeless people who live in India? Why does the BJP want to give these homes to illegal immigrants?
Akshay Marathe, the BJP has already recanted. The minister has recanted. The Home Ministry has issued a clarification. PKD Nambiar, the Aam Aadmi Party, or indeed the Delhi government and the centre, seems to be saying the same thing. At the end of the day, they're both saying that the Rohingyas are unwelcome, they're illegal immigrants, they're using the same language. So where is this competition coming from? Why are you in a clash if you're agreeing on this?
Well, today they are saying this. If this was the same stand if they were having from the last 8 years, why they were giving free water, free electricity and free ration to all those people? Why can't they, they have not even, the Chief Minister has never written a letter to the Home Ministry or the Home Minister saying that these people are not acceptable in a Delhi. I am the elected Chief Minister. That word and term Kejriwal and his party use, that I am the elected Chief Minister of Delhi, and I don't want in my state these Rohingyas who could be a potential threat to the national interest of the country. One. Number two, just ask the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson, is the Chief Secretary of Delhi reports to the Chief Minister? If so, is the Chief Secretary of Delhi has written to the Urban Development Ministry and the rest of the central government asking for giving them, to arrange the shelter for these people?
Okay, that's, in fact, it's interesting you say that. Piketty Nambiar, we're having some trouble with your audio. We're going to try and fix that and come back to you in just a moment. So hold that thought. You refer to that letter, which was also tweeted out today by Gautam Gambhir. And if we can get that up on our screens, please. And it essentially, basically, Akshay Marathe, do come in on this, because he's saying today Delhi's shameless Chief Minister is completely exposed. He sent a letter asking for flats in Bakkarwal for the Rohingyas and is now doing, what he's known for, gutter level politics. Your response? And, this is a letter signed by the Home Secretary, and it's presumably asking for these flats.
First of all,
is this proof that the Delhi government was also involved in this whole process?
First of all, Gautam Gambhir should mind his language. He's an honorable member of parliament. He should be careful of what words he is using, because in this particular case, the same words would actually apply to Union Minister Hardeep Puri, who is a member and minister of his own party. Is he calling Mr. Hardeep Puri responsible for gutter level politics? Is Mr. Gambhir saying he's a shameless minister? Because all of these words should apply to the union minister who actually announced this decision by the central government in the first place. Number two, if you read this letter carefully, it says very clearly in the noting below it that this decision should be communicated directly between the Chief Secretary and the Lieutenant Governor by passing all the ministers of the elected government. And let me tell you why that is the case. In Delhi, land and law and order are both central subjects. DDA, which runs these EWS flats, which has built these EWS flats, belongs to the central government. The Aam Aadmi Party government has no responsibility or oversight over these issues which we are dealing with today. The BJP spokesperson kept asking, why didn't the Chief Minister of Delhi write any letters to the Home Ministry? Because the people of India have elected the BJP government for national security. The BJP can't run away saying, oh, why didn't you write letters to us? Why should we write any letters to you? Are you not responsible for protecting the country from illegal immigrants? Are you as BJP not responsible for protecting us and securing our borders and ensuring that anybody who's not supposed to enter?
I think the question on one level is where the buck stops, but I do want to bring in Arshpreet Khatyal as well at this point, because there is a larger point to be considered over here as well. The fate and the future of the Rohingyas. As I said before, many of them who are currently in Delhi actually have UNHCR cards which grant them or recognize them as formally as refugees. It's another thing that, India hasn't ratified that, or India doesn't recognize them as refugees. But where is this security or threat perception that's being talked about?
See, number one, I think it's a disgrace. The confusion that is prevailing in the government is not just a disgrace, but also an embarrassment, especially for a nation that has served as an executive, served on the executive committee of the UNHCR, and especially when a union minister comes forward and says that we are going to be accommodating the Rohingyas in economically weaker section flats, and then the Home Ministry comes and says that it is not happening. So is the minister being trolled by their very own government? Was he trying to lie to the country, or was he trying to mislead the country that he has been corrected? So the BJP should first of all come forward and tell us as to who was lying and who was not. And why has this confusion prevailed in the first place? Because, we have always had a proud tradition to accommodate anyone and everyone who has sought refuge in India. And number three, the BJP has also betrayed the Indian civilization by making such comments, such remarks. Because at the end of the day, if the Rohingyas are not to be accommodated, the BJP shouldn't have made a remark in the first place. And if a remark has been made, why is he being contradicted by the Union Home Ministry? This goes on to suggest a very serious problem. Now, this also suggests that the BJP does not have a clear stance on the Rohingyas. That whatever has been spoken and done by them back in the day has now been rendered, irrelevant, immaterial, because we do not know what the BJP wants to do with it. Now, that's why we have sought a clarification from the government that please come forward and tell us if Mr. Puri was right or if the Union Home Ministry is right. And who are we supposed to believe? And if this trolling can stop and this misleading can stop, we can get back to the business of helping the people, and we can resolve to our convention, our norms.
Yes, absolutely take your point about this. But, that was one strand of this story which appears to be getting murkier by the moment because it's moved on from there. And now we're seeing the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP locked in a battle over, who was responsible for actually trying to settle the Rohingyas. And that's where we're seeing both of them effectively saying the same thing, which is that they're illegal immigrants, that there is a security threat. It may well be that they were responsible for some of the violence in Delhi. And then, if they are both agreed on this, where did this entire proposal come from? What are we to make of it?
The Aam Aadmi Party, I don't think so. Aam Aadmi Party has anything to do with Mr. Puri's statement. Mr. Puri gave a statement, being the person who is heading the ministry. Housing affairs comes under the jurisdiction of the minister.
No, and but now the BJP is saying it was the AAP government that was trying to actually settle them in Delhi, and they are saying quite the opposite. So yes, PKD Nambiar, if we have you back, I'd like to come back to this.
There is no documentary evidence to that.
It's very interesting. On the one side, you are 8 years you have been ruling Delhi, and you have never even gone to any government for that matter. If at all the AAP spokesperson is, as he is saying, that it is the responsibility of the government. Why? What was the chief minister doing? He was giving.
Can I come in?
Secondly, why he has never been able to keep this as a detention center or a restricted, rather than on the other side, he's made it like an open field for them. Wanted to. So they have been given almost every citizenship rights without even having a citizenship. An illegal migrant. And I think he wanted to make them as a more of like a vote bank politic.
Okay. Quick response from Akshay Marathe. I do need to wrap this up.
Ankita, Rohingya immigrants today
not only just
living,
there for the double,
they live in Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, Rajasthan. All of these states have Rohingyas today. How many chief ministers have been asked to write to the BJP government in the center to report these immigrants? Is it not the BJP government's responsibility on their own? Why are they waiting for letters from anybody? Today, the Aam Aadmi Party is saying on record that as a matter of policy, we don't want Rohingyas to live in India as refugees. It is a matter of policy that both the Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP are today saying this. All parties, I think, even the Congress has said this today. The question is it not the responsibility of the BJP government to do that, to execute what the people want?
So my point is then, Mr. Marathe, it's really astonishing because people have to then ask, where did this proposal come from? Why was it talked about? Who was behind it? And why is this a debate at all? If everyone is on the same page, the Delhi government, the centre, and, we're talking about settlement in Delhi, then why is this an issue at all? You seem perfectly agreed on this, and yet you're accusing each other.
Let me tell you why this is happening. This is happening because the BJP wants to use Rohingyas to shield itself from the accusations of violence. The BJP wants to create violence whenever it wins, and that is why they want to protect Rohingyas. They want to settle Rohingyas wherever they feel necessary, and then use Rohingyas as a shield so that people don't blame them and they blame Rohingyas instead. That is why the BJP is using this as a conspiracy. And I'm
Ankita,
saying
can I
this
come
very
in?
seriously. It is
You're
the BJP's
giving-
conspiracy to use Rohingyas to create violence in this country, and that's why this has happened. That is
Okay,
why they have been
quick.
caught.
I have to
napping.
I have to let Piketty Nambiar respond to that. 30 seconds, Piketty Nambiar. I'm completely out of
Who
time.
is the only thing? Is the chief secretary reports to Arvind Kejriwal? Is the chief secretary of Delhi has written a request to the mental ministries asking for them to be given the accommodation to or to the EWF flats? Is the Aam Aadmi Party is giving them free electricity, free water? Why the government of Delhi is not given created a detention center? Is this case when the Assam has got the 3 detention center for of the Rohingyas? What is that Arvind Kejriwal and his government?
Okay, so it's that same
This
letter
blunder,
that you're
I just
referring
want
to
make
again.
One last remark. This blunder has caused a basic blunder. This one is a basic blunder, and because of this, we wouldn't just have to face domestic repercussions. Perception is going to be formed that the government is not on the same page in the first place. What good can they do to the country? But also international repercussions are going to be there because of this.
So the government,
that the government cannot even be on the same page. That the government cannot help a community.
so 2 ministries
The
are not
government-
on the same
government
page.
says
The
something,
Delhi
it is
government and the
contradicted
centre
by
is at odds.
Ankita, that has already been clarified by all the people, and that is over. That discussion is not there.
Well, in retrospect, yes. In
let's
hindsight,
not
everything
create
is
further
2020.
confusion.
All right, we leave it at that. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us.